congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women.
It is my absolute pleasure to meet you again on Women, Power and Politics. On this program, all I do is engage some of the most influential women in this country and beyond, leading the charge, putting women out there in the arenas of power. Now, my guest this morning, the temptation is to say needs no introduction, but this is how I like to introduce her. During the NDC campaign manifesto launch, of course, the running mate for the NDC's flag bearer is Professor Jane Okokwajiman, who's a woman. But the only other woman who spoke on that podium that day is my guest this morning. She's been a media personality, and I like to say she's a celebrity of politicians, female politicians right now. Shamima Muslim, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Or is it?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter. Greetings, Shamima.
Greetings to you and to your viewers. Yeah.
We are privileged to have this conversation with you because we see you out there firing your opponent, and there's a lot of fire and power.
Don't put it like that. I'm a very nice person.
No, you are not. No, you are not at all. Not when it comes to your position.
I thought you are my friend, though.
No, we are friends. But Shamima, I'm curious to know who really you are. We see you at the forefront of campaign rallies, speaking about the change that you're bringing to us. But I also know that you were in the media actively for a long time before you transitioned to politics. So how would you describe yourself, politics and media aside, to someone who doesn't know you? Who is Shamima Muslim?
Shamima is a very passionate young woman who is truly present for the causes she believes in and stands for, who considers herself a bridge builder and an inclusion and representation activist.
Who's a bridge builder?
A bridge builder is the person who recognizes where gaps exist between people and issues and tries to create synergies. So we deepen understanding of the issues or deepen understanding of each other. So we collectively co-create safer spaces that recognizes all of us and our agency in a non-discriminatory manner. Because when you come from a country as diverse as ours, we must be having conversations that bring us more together than conversations that divide us.
Okay.
So and also because of my own background, my upbringing, and my own experiences of, overt, covert discrimination and spaces where I find myself in the minority. I have a deep sense of how it feels to be a minority in a space. Sometimes it is your own thoughts of being an imposter that holds you back when you find yourself in those spaces.
It's difficult to look at you right now and imagine someone discriminating against you or you being in a minority. Share some experiences with us. What really?
Well, but I have always been, a minority? In the most spaces. If you listen to my speech when Kamala Harris came to Ghana, was that last year or so, I think, and I describe myself as a minority of a minority because we sometimes express multiple realities. So yes, I'm a citizen of the world, but I'm also a Ghanaian. And if you come to Ghana, I am a Northerner. If you come to that description, I am also a Wala girl from the Upper West region, which before the redemarcations of the regions to 16 regions, we were the youngest then and the smallest. We are no longer the youngest nor the smallest now, but then we were the smallest region. And I'm also a Muslim, and even if you come within the Muslim fold, I am a member of a smaller denomination.
So it goes that deep.
It goes that deep, and sometimes we must, it's like an onion. We must remove the different levels, and layers of who we are to understand how we are becoming who we are and what is influencing, what we stand for.
Right.
And so when I say this, it's like in all of these multiple identities in the schools that I went with, you'll find that I'm the only Northerner, I'm the only Muslim. right from primary school to secondary school. University was more diverse, but you would see that you are just a minority in most of these spaces.
So with that background, what really about not just being a minority, but a woman who believes in inclusivity?
And then a woman.
And then a woman, yeah. I mean, that's globally.
That's global.
Yeah, and a woman.
And an African woman.
Yes.
I mean,
there's so many layers to it.
That's just what I like to invite people to consider, the layers of who you are.
I must
and
congratulate
see how you
listening
yourself.
to this right now, and where you've put yourself on this pedestal. It's no small feat. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But I want to believe that there's something from this background and story, that you're telling us right now that influenced you to want to be in the media and now politics. So what really motivated you, or what, I like to use the word, cost you? A voice. You know, when I was in the university, I always tell a lot of people that I didn't come into the realization of who I am or my potential to be more than I was, because traditionally my family is conservative. You know, we come from conservative, very large families. Our home was a very large family, even in Accra. How large is
I mean, we're all born in Accra. My father was one of the earliest Wala men to settle in Accra and actually build a house. In Kutubabi, Mamobi then at the time. So our house became like a melting pot. And you know, there was no phones there. So you're there, aunties, uncles. So at any point in time, you would have more than 50 people in our house. Eating, you know, sleeping, coming for all kinds of reasons. School, medication, health, you know, trade. So they would come through our home before they find their way around. And those who were also just coming for greener pastures, right? So that was the kind of, it was a typical northern home. You cooked large children, you know, you ate
lots of children.
You ate communally, you did a lot of chores. Even then they used to say, my mom used to say, I'm lazy. So all these bowls I'm washing, my colleagues in Morning Star, they are not washing these bowls. I always was
but you're
upset.
not in Morning Star. Okay.
You know, so I kind of like lived in two different realities. In the morning, I'm off to this private school with very many rich children. I mean, my father was well-to-do by the standards that, you know, he built for himself early. But you always see the contrast. Okay, and I say that the level of my humility stems from that, because very early on, I saw how different and how unequal the hands will be. Because amongst my community, we were, you know, we were also the Ogboros, because your father is rich. And then just a few kilometers from my home in Kotobabi, where I'm the daughter of Mr. Muslim and all of that, I go into a space where there are people who have more, who, you know, bring more to school. So very early on, I was very centered in the knowledge that life will always be unequal, but it is best you do the best with the little you have. And that has always shaped me in my dealings with any and everybody. I can sit with the low and I can commune with the high, and I wouldn't lose the common touch.
Does that make you a good politician?
I don't even know what that means.
Would you call yourself a politician?
Well, I am doing politics now, but you know, I always don't like when people define our the expansion of it's not even expansion to use to bottle individuals up as politicians, because people come into politics with varied experiences and all those and intentions, and even with different qualifications, and all of those things matter. And yes, you can define somebody as a politician because they are doing politics, but they are more than the politics, or they should be more than the politics that they do. Because I find that when we describe people as politicians, we immediately label them. And, you know,
put them in a box.
We put them in a box, okay? And I say that the ways in which we have described politicians have further reinforced how they also want to project who a politician is. It's like, you know, politicians, you don't tell the truth. Politicians, you are liars. Politicians, you are thieves. That kind of labeling is not empowering for me at all. So we should see a way in which we bring into politics more of who we are, what we have done and what we want politics to do. A tool for social change, social reconstruction, a tool for the redistribution of our collective resources, that we will be able to touch the corners of our country equitably.
Okay.
You know.
So politics, because you figured out that you had a voice and you wanted to use it.
So first the media. So when I get, so back to your earlier question. So when I went to Legon and I attended an orientation, and you know, it's about seizing the moment. So someone came to me, it was one of the, during the orientations, we had a presentation from Alhaji Abubakar Siddiq. He was the station manager of Radio Universe, the campus radio station. So when he came, I said, hey, this man, hey, he's a Muslim. I was like, wow, a Muslim is a manager of a radio station. This is why I knew very early on that representation matters.
You hadn't heard of any such Muslim in a position like that?
As a radio, that like how close I was to seeing somebody who is a manager of a radio station who was telling us students that, oh, if you want to learn how to do radio work, come and volunteer at Radio Universe. So the real import of what I'm trying to say, that when sometimes you see people who look like you in certain positions, you feel confident to approach. So I felt confident that, okay, I'm a young Muslim girl, let me go and see if there are opportunities. Would I have taken that decision if he wasn't? I don't know. If he wasn't a Muslim, perhaps. But I'm saying that for me as a young 19-year-old who had just gone into the university, it was significant for me to take a decision to go to Radio Universe. So I went afterwards, asked, and they made me write a letter, and I started Radio Universe. And very quickly I realized the power of voice. Because here I am sitting in this small studio, and then all of a sudden I am so known across Legon campus, and people already, you know, start worshipping you, you know, giving you kind, well, it's a strong word to use, but you know how it is when, you know, they started feeling like you know, you are
celebrity status.
So influential that all of a sudden what you say matters. But it was not consolidated for me until I completed Legon and went into development work. And we're working in poor communities like Nima Mamobi, like in inner cities that were infrastructurally poor and social services poor, and some areas in the northern regions. And we had a project called Rights and Voice Initiative, and the parliamentary advocacy project that I was the manager of those programs. The Rights and Voice Initiative said, you know, one of the ways to secure development is to not only give people handouts, but to empower them to recognize their own agency, so they can themselves articulate their problems. The power of voice, mobilize their collective voices, and demand accountability from duty bearers. So what did this project do? It went on to educate community members about their basic human rights. People don't even, some people just didn't know their basic human rights. How to interface with security agencies. Who are the duty bearers in your communities? Your chiefs, your MP, your assemblymen. What are their constitutional roles? So there was a major problem of sanitation in Nima Mamobi, where the containers will get filled up, the assemblies will not come and pick them up. So this project mobilized the youth, mobilize the women. All of a sudden they were organizing meetings with their district assemblies demanding.
So you achieved your objectives.
So that showed me the power of collective action and voice.
Shamima, is it difficult, or how difficult is it for you to be in this field, in this industry, politics, as a woman, as a Muslim woman, having come into your power and the power of your voice now? Is it difficult?
It is.
I've spoken to a couple of other guests on the show, and they tell you that, I remember Jifa Gomashi saying that it is murky to be a politician and a woman. I remember, I think the information minister said she succeeded because she had strong mentors, women mentors who pulled her up. So how challenging is it for you, and how do you navigate it?
I would say, you know, all my life I've been blessed, my sister. I've been blessed. Yes, I have always taken the first step, but I have been blessed in so many areas of my life. You know, when I came back to the media, it's the same motivation. And then a couple of years ago, the calling was really deep to do something more than just the media, because the media was another platform to highlight the issues. But the political system is where the decisions really are taken that affect our collective life. So it was easy to transition. It was easy to transition because there was agreement within the family that I could do this. My husband always knew that I loved politics. I was a student activist. As part, aside from being radio, I was a deputy women's commissioner. I was the local NUCS president for Legon. I was Legon's external affairs, committee. I was voter hall representative on the SRC. I was a General Assembly member.
You've always been a leader.
4 years in my time. So as people are going for parties, I'm going for General Assembly meetings. And I've always been very anchored, maybe because of my very strict upbringing. I don't lend myself too much to negative peer influence. One, I'm decided on what I want to do, and that has served me well. But of course, there've been some fallout. It means you don't make the necessary connections you should, and half of the time you go alone. But it's fine. I mean, so
they say if you want to lead the orchestra, you need to turn your back to the crowd. So it's okay to be alone sometimes.
So yes, my husband was totally in support. And my husband himself, he loves politics, even though he's a businessman. He understands the system so much, and he's been my major pillar in this transition process. He understands the system. He's also resourceful. So I am not bedding
the insult.
We discussed all that.
Okay.
We anticipated all that. And so we're all aware of the things that will come. And boy, did they come when I came out. They came hard and fast. And this society believes that the easiest thing to use to derail a woman is to start attacking her morally. It's so cheap. It's so outdated. I don't know why they think that such things stick anymore. But we are in a very deep patriarchal society, and some of these negative sentiments actually influence people's attitudes and behaviors towards the women who want to break glass ceilings for their daughters. So sometimes I think that we women also don't help ourselves, because look, when I scan social media, I never troll people. I don't troll women. It's just a matter of principle. No matter what the woman has done that seems so wrong, if I have access to her, I'll tell her directly. If I don't, I pass. But sometimes when you hear even comments from women themselves entrenching these negative stereotypes, I'm like, if you must hate somebody, you shouldn't hate yourself so much, because you're a woman. Things can flip. You would have daughters.
It always goes round.
It is when we collectively push back against these narratives and push back against these people that they will stop. But we ourselves, we haven't quite been able to do that. So it continues, but we survive and we move.
I sort of unraveled you, or the persona, the real person behind the politician. Not to say that I know you don't want to be boxed as a politician, but I understand now that you have strong backing or grounding in terms of family values and inclusivity and all that. So let's talk about your role now in the NDC. Okay, so you speak for the NDC as a member. So I
actually started work about 2 years ago, officially as a member of the gender committee of the NDC, and a group that was called Lab. They had this think tank that was Lab that was working towards the final preparation of the manifesto. So I was on the gender committee for that, and as well as the strategic branding and communications committee. So we've been working in the background for a while.
Why NDC?
Why NDC? Because it sits directly with my social ethos. Just what I've spoken to you about. The history of NDC is more collective, and is more broad and mass based. It's a congress of different people. The NDC was cooked out of different realities. It came from a revolutionary, but it was young people who stood up and took control over their nation and worked together to transition this country into a democratic regime. And I'm saying that no matter what the issues or the excesses of that military regime has been, which wasn't the first military regime. The first military regime was in 1966, occasioned by the NLC, and subsequent beneficiaries of other regimes were elements from the UGCC that actually introduced Ghana into, the first military takeover. So I always blame the UGCC and their elements for that, stalling of Ghana's forward progress. So back to the issue of PNDC, NDC. If you look at how stabilized our fourth Republican constitution has been, you owe a lot of debt, and it's not debt, it's not the credit to the NDC. Because Jerry Rawlings transitioned us into a democratic regime. Jerry Rawlings did 8 years of elections. Jerry Rawlings undersaw a lot of reforms of our electoral process. Jerry Rawlings handed power peacefully to another democratically elected government, Kufuor, and we are 32 years since then. I'm saying, had they not held this party together, they were anglings, we would have probably had another military takeover. But they stabilized our country for us, and that was leadership. Leadership that had the interest of Ghanaians at heart. I think the New Patriotic Party is a bit more self-centered in their approach, in their dealings, and they promote too liberal policies, deepening, the perception of property owning. To own a property is not wrong, but unbridled capitalism breeds excessive greed, and we are seeing telltale signs of such excessive promotion of property owning.
We are not even practicing a clear-cut capitalist or socialist. It's like we are taking a bit of everything and jumbling it up, but the effects are what we are seeing right now, where we have politicians, ministers of state owning properties, attempting to acquire governments. Anyway, but let's get into
keeping billions of monies in their homes.
Let's get into the politics now. Let me start by asking you, do you believe everything that the NDC communications team put out? Do you believe, or do you buy
into that a trick question?
Well, we will get into some of the policies and campaign messages, but I just want to start that way.
But if I'm a member of the NDC National Communications Bureau.
Yes.
I'm a deputy director of communications for our National Zongo Caucus, and also was a member of the gender, committee, and I also have done some work with the women's wing.
It's not a trick question.
So,
when the cameras are not on, Shamima, some of these politicians will tell you that they don't necessarily believe some of the things they say, except if they say it that way, jokingly, they'll tell you, they will not bring me back here to say this.
No,
I'm just asking.
Okay, I get what you mean.
If you, as an individual, with how grounded you were in your values and all that, do you believe everything that the NDC puts out says?
What? In terms of our policies, whether it's working,
opinions, in terms of the way
you have a political party is an organic institution. When issues come up, teams meet, we debate ideas, we agree on strategies, and then the majority view on a matter holds. This is what has been with all decision-making processes. So there will be particular issues where you may have different opinions in approach to. There will be others where you are completely in concert with the dominant narrative. There will be others where you are the minority view. And sometimes, even when you are a minority view, I've been in meetings where the minority view, if you make a compelling case, the minority view is incorporated into the optics. So in terms of our programs that we have announced, I am total concert of our programs. Because that is the program of the party.
So before we take a break, I want to ask you, what is the campaign strategy then of the NDC? And then we'll talk about some current affairs.
Campaign strategy of the NDC is to bring a message of hope to all Ghanaians everywhere, to reset Ghana for jobs, for accountability, and for prosperity. These are the 3 legs of our 2024 manifesto, because we totally believe that the New Patriotic Party has misgoverned and has brought this country down on its knees, and Ghana is almost, if not bankrupt. And so we require a safe pair of hands, an experienced pair of hands, in the person of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who has been president before and totally understands the politics of this country, to rescue Ghana from the hardships that Ghanaians themselves concede they are facing.
That's where some people would deviate, or should I say have diverse opinions about that. The same person has been president before. John Dramani Mahama was the president. And under his regime, we had pockets of challenges, just like we're experiencing. You may argue that this is a more aggravated or escalated, economic challenges. Well, this isn't about
do you agree it is?
I'm neutral here.
No, it's in the face of objective, verifiable facts.
Oh, I think there are certain elements, like in terms of inflation, in terms of GDP growth, in terms of the borrowing. I know there are elements in our development and democracy, or democratic development, where I would say that the NDC did better.
The indicators were more positive than the NPP.
Thank you.
So,
this is the politician coming to play.
It's an objective fact, so you will not be held.
I guess the question I'm asking you is, why should we trust that you are preaching accountability, you're preaching prosperity, and you're preaching jobs? But you've been in office before, and this was what, nearly 8 years ago. Why should we trust you again?
If you don't trust us, who do you trust? The NPP?
There are other independent candidates.
So this is the point. I'm saying what I invite everybody to do is to exercise a certain logical, what do you call it? Appreciation of, you do your own logical assessment. Remove NDC and all minority parties, put them on the side. Judge the NPP for what they have done. When you have an answer, and your answer is positive, maybe you have your decision. But if you assess the performance of the New Patriotic Party based off on what they said they were coming to do and what they have done, based off their conduct whilst in office, based off on the character of their leaders and the general character of the administration, based off on the competence they have shown or not in the administration of the things that were key determinants of the 2020 electoral outcome, and you come to a conclusion, make the judgment based on that. And I'm saying that every fair-minded Ghanaian, on the same indicators on which they invited us in the last election to vote out the NPP, to vote out the NDC, on the indicators of the economy, on corruption, on jobs, which were cardinal issues that determined. On Dumso, let me bring it, Dumso was a specific campaign matter that they brought. Even let's go a bit into, even on the matter of judgment debt, which was also an albatross they put around the neck. On these same indicators, today, all those same indicators are not favorable to the NPP. Bring in Galamsey, they are not favorable. So if you say no, you say NPP has failed, then you come to your second leg of, so NPP is not in consideration in this next election because they have failed. So who is the next viable option to choose from?
If you ask me, we have Alan Chermanting, we have Cheddar, we have Kofi Apalu, we have obviously John Dramani Mahama, we have Ignatius, is it Bafo or something?
In all of these candidates, who is the most tried and tested political leader? Let's be honest. You go with my flow. In all of these candidates, who would you describe as the most experienced, tried and tested leader? I'm not asking you to make value judgment. I'm just asking you, who would you describe? Will it be the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, or who?
I'm going to throw that question to our audience because that's how we're taking a break on women power politics. When we return, we get into current affairs and Shamima's opinion or reflections on topical issues of national interest. Please stay with us.
I congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women.
Thank you so much for staying with us. You're still watching Women, Power and Politics. And I'm having a conversation, a very riveting conversation with a powerful woman this morning. And she asked me some questions before we went on a break, and I'm not answering that, Shamima.
So let me answer it for you.
Yes, please. Answer the question for
in
me.
my opinion, where we all agree we have reached as a country under the leadership of Nana Bawumia, where the economy has seen a huge downturn in ways that we have never witnessed, where the economy has had to undergo a debt exchange program which has never happened in our recent history, where we have seen pensioner bondholders having to almost forcibly enter a debt exchange program which denied them of their much needed, money that they had worked for, many of them for medical care, where we have seen unprecedented levels of borrowing. In fact, this new patriotic party administration under Nana Bawumia did tell us that they were going to lead a Ghana beyond aid, a Ghana that they would transition from a Gadgetsburg economy to an industrialized one. And this same government did tell us that we are a proud nation, and yet Sisi Council come dieng enam amamu bonia NDC for this were the words of Nana Akufo-Addo. If you recall, you've been playing some of these words. Bawumia says that he's worked at Bank of Ghana before, and the Bank of Ghana, yes, he was coming to lead our economy, and that when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. At a time as that our exchange rate was doing what, $1 to about 3.8. Today the dollar is 16.8 cedis.
Some will give you 15.9,
yes,
but I mean 16,
but it's about 16.
Shamima,
so the point I'm just trying to make quickly is that in the face of all of these unprecedented happenings to our economy, back to an IMF program as they have put us, we cannot trust them to reset this country. We cannot trust somebody who has not been in the seat before. All these other people you have mentioned, they don't even have the political structures to ensure they quickly get to business. The only person in the midst of all these people you have mentioned that has been on this road before, this uncertain road that they have taken us, that has been president before, is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Fortunately for him, under his watch, the indicators were better. Okay. Do you know that in this country, we went to as high in 2022, debt to GDP ratio went to about 104%. Yes. We've never seen. Inflation rose to 50.8%.
Yeah. And now we're down half or less than half.
NDC left at an inflation of about 15%. Today, they say they've created jobs. Unemployment is 15%. Youth unemployment, almost 34 or so percent. Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs?
Let's focus on you. Let's focus on your party. Let's focus on your messages of hope. And let's focus on how you intend to actually get that mandate you're looking for from the Ghanaian people. In your manifestos, you've promised jobs. You've promised to, what's it called? Oral Operation Recover All Loots. You've made a lot of promises, but I'm more focused on how you intend to get money to fund most of these promises you're making. I know that you've talked about taxes, tax exemptions, tax cuts and all that. What is the NDC strategy to mobilize funds? Because you are vehemently against borrowing. We currently have over 700 billion in debt,
We're
right?
close to the international market, so we have to do a lot of domestic revenue mobilization. So
what is your way out of the debt, of funding, of generating revenue, so that you can actually deliver on the promises?
Number one, within the next 14 days, within the first 14 days of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he said he's going to name his cabinet. 14 days, within 2 weeks, we have a cabinet, and we are already working. Okay. His Excellency is already working, because I told you in there. Oh, I don't know. I don't know at all. I don't know. What I'm focused totally on is to do my best and contribute to a campaign towards victory. So it won't matter at all if I'm not even there. Once this party wins, I would be very, very happy. So I'm saying that a lot, number one, major within that 14 days after he announces his cabinet, immediately we are going to scrap e-levy, COVID levy, 10% levy on bet winnings, emissions levy, import duty on vehicles, because number one priority is to ease the burdens on the Ghanaians that has been occasioned by these draconian taxes.
These
That's
taxes,
number one.
though, are also contributing to the revenue we have.
So I'm coming there. But number one, you just need to ease the burden. The people say that they are hard pressed. There's a lot of hardships. Sweetie, I'm going to give you photos of the situation of vulnerabilities and deprivations in the villages. These villages that we go to that have human beings who vote for us. I say that these people who turn up in their numbers to stand in the sun, in the rain, to cheer us on, to meet with us and tell us their problems, to vote for us, they are the better humans. Because even with so little, they give us appointees so much. Because they give you a social license to govern over them, in hope that you will come and solve their problems.
Right.
You know, these people are the better humans. Because of them, you get a job, you get paid salary, you ride in cars, you go and get free fuel. And they can't get food to eat in farming communities where hunger is predominant. Because we have left the farmers to themselves. We are even discriminating in the allocation of fertilizer when food and hunger knows not a party color. When an NPP person goes to the market, they will buy the food. Food inflation, you know where it reached. Yeah. So we are saying that number one, stop the decay. Immediately announce some of these tax measures to ease the burden, and then we are ending the decay with the most comprehensive government audit ever. Everywhere that the leakages were, immediate closure of those fissures, so like that we remove the leakages. Look, government machinery, government machinery alone, the office of the president receives an annual budget of 2 billion cedis. You are aware of that, right? The staff at the presidency, colossal numbers. So I'm saying that even reducing government machinery alone, and that's why he's announced that his ministers are not going to be more than 60. So I'm saying that there are going to be immediate practical things that we're going to do to stop the bleeding. Ramping up local revenue mobilization measures has always been a problem. Another major issue has been a lot of contracts and programs that have had no value for money are ongoing.
So to be clear, first you're easing tax burdens,
yes,
and then you're cutting off the what you're calling outrageous excessive government expenditure. It is huge. So these monies will be your initial fund or capital to reset the economy,
amongst many others.
Okay.
If you listen to our point person on economy, they will give you even a more comprehensive, and they're in a manifesto. I can't read all for you. All is not in my head. Me, I'm not an economist.
So that's on
but
funding.
I'm saying that on funding, the factors of the matter is that we need to first stop the excessive leakages of government revenue, so we can save some monies there. And we're going to also do the audits. Monies that are due government that ought to be paid. You see the Public Accounts Committee. The auditors general are supposed to be charging people. Look, Ampao, let me borrow. let me borrow it advisedly. Please don't quote me in 2 years from now. I'm saying, look at the auditor general refusing to surcharge companies that are supposed to return monies to government coffers.
Yeah.
All programs and contracts that did not go through the necessary, contractual processes will be abrogated.
Shamima, you're a very passionate person.
I am.
Like when I listen to you, you speak about these issues as if, given the opportunity, you would handpick the people who are responsible and throw them away somewhere, so that we can, have some. I don't want to use the word freedom. We can ease our burden.
We need.
So let's talk about current issues that are affecting the country, and we'd have to be brief because our time is limited. We'll get to jobs. Let's start with Galamsey.
Okay.
Now this is a national crisis, and I like to think that minority was in parliament when that LI 2462
Why are you
was
always
passed.
deferring responsibility to minority?
I'm not deferring.
Please, who is the president of Ghana?
Hold on. What I'm trying to say is, since it came to light that this LI is should I say, the beginning of our woes in terms of the destruction to our forests, exacerbating, our forest reserves, the devastating effects, and our water bodies and all that. I kept asking myself, but we had minority in parliament. How did they sit and let it pass? You can argue that.
Where were you in the media? Did you follow the conversations in parliament? Go and look for the Hansard.
Yes.
And see what the conversations were.
Minority. But the question
they had their numbers. I'm saying that whatever they want to do, they always look. A minority would have its say. You know the popular saying, majority will have its way. They were bent on passing it, and they had it. They should have been well aware of the implications. I said they started playing politics with this galamsey because the NDC was struggling under its administration. We were highlighting these issues, and people were speaking about it, and we're trying to build consensus to deal with this galamsey menace. They played politics with it, and then when they came, they passed this LI. They allowed their party apparatchiks to get us the time we were even talking about galamsey.
More licenses.
Please tell it to your audience properly. Let them hear that this is not us. So you see the level of complete and utter disregard, the dissonance in what they say. They are so incongruent. The MPP preaches virtue, and they go and practice vice right in our faces.
So the question I wanted to get to is, what is your approach? If all things go well for you and you become the next government by January 2025, what is your approach to halting the devastating effects that we are currently experiencing?
His Excellency John Dramana has announced that at least if this law is not passed, he within his first a few days is going to repeal the mining law that allows for
it's actually
mining.
Going to be laid in parliament
so
today.
Let's hope that they do it because of pressure. But before that, he had announced that it is one of the things we'll do to stop all mining on forest reserves, and on water bodies, because this is really where we just need to do stop, and then let's figure out what to do. We have always said that the NDC is not against small-scale legal mining. We are not against small-scale legal mining. I mean, mining has been with us for the longest, time ever, even though some people think that mining hasn't really truly transformed this economy. And the fact that what they've used to do this degeneration is to say that but Ghanaians also have to be at the commanding. Ghanaians must do the right thing. If these large-scale miners were doing the things that, and we have the capacity because we enforce the laws for these large-scale miners, so why would we allow for Ghanaians to go and do whatever they like? Known party people. How does NPP convince any Ghanaian, any fair-minded Ghanaian, that they were ready at the onset to fight galamsey, when your own party leaders were the kingpins of galamsey sites in forest reserves on water bodies?
You can't call them
when
kingpins.
They are kingpins. Even Professor Frimpong Boateng himself in his report mentioned names.
Right.
He mentioned names.
That's for galamsey.
And how they fought him.
You're going to repeal. If it's not done by that time, you're going to be repealing
sanitize the entire mining regime, ensure we establish community mining, and enable miners to adopt the high-tech and relevant, technology that will not...
that's central to some of the promises John Dramani Mahama is making about community farmer centers, to sort of centralize all industries, especially the agricultural sector. So now let's talk about that. Agriculture,
food.
It's
major. I told you.
I know it's one of your highlights in terms of what you want to do differently. Let's talk about that. What is the plan there?
What we have,
is it feasible? Is it sustainable? Because when we started with this planting for food and jobs, agenda 1 is different. In fact, planting for food and jobs, phase 1, phase 2, the whole idea was to actually do this, to centralize. If not centralize, then structure, the systems in such a way that farmers have access to fertilizers, farmers have access to...
What they have rather done is to centralize everything because of
now the challenges are that farmers are not getting their due.
Yes.
The challenges are that we are not actually seeing the effect of these farms and what they're supposed to be doing.
Their motive was not was not Ghana-centered.
Well, you are also saying that you want to put a structure to it.
Yes.
To say that if you want a farm, just get your land. We'll give you the machines. We'll give you the seeds. We'll give you the thing that
it's like
plows.
A pool.
Everything that you need
at district levels.
How sustainable is this, and where are you getting the funds to also do this?
My sister, agric is not a business. Agriculture, food that we eat every day, is not a business that anybody should go in and fail if we put in the necessary measures to protect the farmers and to protect their products and to protect the transportation of the products to the farm. Food, everybody eats food every day. And I'm saying that the farmer centers are to be at the district level. You see these drip equipment that they have bought and put in all these frameworks. The problem with the MPP is that anytime they envision a policy, they envision it for the MPP people. To the extent that they even did not recognize that farmers and food, because if you come to my community and there are 20 farmers in my community and 10 farmers are supposed to be NDC sympathizers and 10, and you go and put the fertilizer in the DC's office, who will call his known party people to give, you forget that in that farming season, in that district, your food output will be lesser than it would have been if you ensured fair distribution of all the implements to all the farmers. Because as for food, it does not know party colors, and it should not know party colors. This is how they implemented the planting for food and jobs, that it has failed. They were very discriminatory, and they were not, they never brought some of these things on time. The dry spell we just experienced in the northern spell, a lot of the fertilizers didn't come on time. And when they came, they were very discriminatory and haphazard in the distribution of those fertilizers. The seeds are not coming on time. The land itself is no longer organic, so you need to fertilize the land. So the farmer centers is a critical game changer to put in the resources. And you come and borrow it, plow your land, bring it back. Community A will come and borrow it, plow their land, bring it back. You come for the seeds. They're supposed to be there. JM is a farmer. He understands what he's talking about.
Okay, let's land there.
The dams never came to the northern the areas. The dams they promised never came. I went to that community. The Polugu Dam never came.
Although we've sunk over $2 million.
$12 million.
Yeah.
It never came. The people said that, I asked them, please have your dams come. No. They said, did your fertilizers come? No. If you see pictures of farmers and you see deprivation on their body, you would know that we shouldn't play politics with food.
At the heart of most of our problems, one could easily argue that bribery and corruption is our problem. I've listened to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and he's spoken about how digitization and digitalization would help remove the human interface from especially public institutions, so that at least even if nothing at all, the people who are corruptible can be away, so that the systems can work effectively. What is John Dramani Mahama's strategy to deal with corruption head on? And this is not an invitation to talk about how corrupt a particular government is. This is just like purely strategy. How are you going to tackle corruption? Someone will tell you that corruption has been there since the time of Adam. Yes. What are you coming to do?
That some time ago.
What are you coming to do differently?
Sweetie Abochi.
I got my name right.
I got your name right. So that's how you pronounce it. His name, Abochi.
Abochi.
Sweetie, the fact is that does it take 8 years to implement a digitalization infrastructure? Mr. Bawumia is a member of the New Patriotic Party. It shouldn't take 8. So is he telling us that it's going to take 8 years for this policy that he has mentioned? No, I'm telling you, is it going to take 8 years for him to do it? He doesn't have 8 years.
I know John has 4 years. He wants to strengthen the institutions, like the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Do you remember that it was under John Mahama's era that we started this e-cabinet program, where we were making the cabinet processes completely digital? The digital village that started, John Mahama started the digital migration infrastructure. It is not a vision that was envisioned by Bawumia, conceptualized by him, started by him, when he is just a vice president.
This is not a Bawumia idea.
No, digitalization, it is not. Please go back and look at it. John Dramani Mohammed's era under Edward Omani Boama as communications minister. This man has always been talking digitalization. Just the evidence show. There is a video where the cabinet, he was telling cabinet ministers that they should even go and learn and acclimatize their systems themselves with the e-cabinet system. It was a broader vision to digitalize government operations. Evans Atta Mills went to customs because of these same corruptions, and conversations started even then about how to remove. Who doesn't know that to reduce corruption you need to remove the human face? So the NDC is continuing that, because we started it. This entire digital migration and making Ghana more digital to remove.
So who's copying who?
Started. It's the MPP are the chief copiers. The MPP are the chief copiers. I wish we had
more time to get into this, but now I want to come back to you as an individual. No, we don't have enough time.
Okay,
I want you to. Yes, I'll allow it, but I want you to talk to me about balance.
Oh,
you wear many hats. It's okay. We are done with the politics. You wear many hats. You're a woman with a family. I'm sure you have friends, siblings. You even said that you know, growing up, it was always a large family and all that. How are you striking a balance? How are you able to stay afloat in the midst of all the things pulling and tugging at you for your attention? How do you do it?
I ever watched a video of this former PepsiCo CEO who is a great motivational speaker. I forget her name, so you would Google her. She says that we never find balance. There's nothing like balance. At any point in time, no, you can't
I
find
remember
a
that
balance.
video.
Yes.
So she's a mom. She says something, whatever needs your attention at that time. That's what you give it to. Yes, exactly. I remember that interview.
So it's about prioritizing your life, and it's about seasons. So whatever season that is of priority to you at any point in time, that is what you focus on. So you know that when I was in the media, I did my work so well. I excelled within a short period of time. When I started doing family and I thought I could not, I took a 10-year break to have 4 children. So yes, I took a 10-year break.
Was it intentional or as the children kept coming?
It was intentional because, you know, after I had my second girl, the work demands, the time demands no longer worked for me, because I used to do an evening program and I was breastfeeding. I did exclusive breastfeeding, and I also had other family commitments at the time. There were 2 old ladies with me, so I never returned to work, and it was flexible for me. But within that 10 years, what did I do? I set up Alliance for Women in Media. I didn't sit. So women can always find other options that are flexible for them. So I didn't go and sit. Within that 10 years, I set up a consultancy. So I was moderating programs, I was doing training programs, I was emceeing programs and earning some side income. Those were flexible. They were not every day. They didn't demand me to be at work at a particular time and close at a particular time. But you have to have a very strong will to navigate these waters and to realize quickly what is important to you. Family was always important to me. And I'm very happy that I crossed those T's. So yes, have they started complaining that, Mommy, now we don't see you? I said, for 10 years, you saw my face before you went to
now
school.
It's time for
and
you
when you
to
come home, you see my face. So let Mommy sacrifice a little for your future. Mommy is fighting for a better future for all of you. And they are totally in concert. They support me. They are very conscious because we watch news a lot. So if you interview them, they will tell you what the problems are, and they know that Nana Kufado and Bawumia are the problem of Ghana, and you shouldn't vote for them.
And you're signaling me that we have 1 minute, but Shamima, let's do this in 1 minute. You've gone around the country. I don't know where you've been, but you've talked about villages and the lives of people in rural outskirts that are cut off from the rest of the cities and all that. How do you think women, I mean, of course, we just passed this affirmative action bill, but in about 30 seconds, how do you think women all over the world, both women and young girls, are actually faring in this day and age of economic?
They're not faring well.
Yeah, economic and should I say gender parity? That is the goal that everyone wants to achieve. How are we doing?
Women are not faring well. Women have borne the brunt of the increased vulnerabilities because they are majority in the informal sector. They are majority in the rural areas where we went. They turn up with children on their backs. Yeah. They stand. Many of the kids are not in school at all. Some of the communities don't have schools. Women are not faring well, but yet women are the most resilient. Women form the majority of our population. And in our electoral register, the provisional register, more women are registered to vote than men. Which means that if we set our priorities right and we do right by Ghanaian women, this country will be better off for it. And that's why the Women's Bank is a game changer. Everywhere we went, if you give a woman something small, they are able to multiply it. Yeah. These women are not lazy. They do back-breaking work. They walk long miles to fetch water for their home. They go to the farms. They take food and provisions from the farms to the markets to bring food to the table. They are not lazy. They just need support. And I am convinced that when His Excellency says he's going to lead by example and demand the highest level of proper public conduct from all his appointees, I believe him. And I believe him, and I want to also share with the NDC people and the appointees who may be part of the next NDC administration.
Having said all
Let us
this,
not repeat these mistakes from the past. We will do ourselves no good if the NDC does not show a marked departure in character of leadership and governance, in the conduct of appointees, as we have witnessed under this Nana Bawumia mismanaged economy.
Having said all that, my final bit to you is, would you say that in the face of the struggles that women are facing currently in the country, Professor Jane Opokwajiman gives you an added advantage as we go into the 2024 elections? And that's the last bit we have to go.
It should to every woman watching me. Our advocacy must yield results. 67 years after independence, Ghana has never had a female vice president. These, because of this singular decision by His Excellency John Mahama, young girls, when I went to some village, I asked her what she wants to do. She said she wants to be president. And I said, you can be.
Yes,
because Nana Jane was, you too can. Please, this decision is significant. We have the numbers. We can back and bring this decision to life by voting massively for the NDC, so Ghana would have a first female vice president, so we will center correctly the issues of our women, our wives, our sisters, our daughters. I see fathers who dote on their daughters. If you don't build a better society that is safe for your daughter, you will give her all the education you want, the expensive education. Tomorrow, some man somewhere will tell her she should draw down her pants before she gets a position.
And that's
an existential crisis.
This right here is why we do this, to encourage broader participation of women in leadership. Shamima, thank you so much.
Thank you more, sweetie.
It's been eye-opening to see who you are behind the politics and, you know, taking it hard on your opponents. This is women power. No, I like it for you. You know, most women,
they are also very hard.
Will just come down when a man raises their voices.
Because they want to bully.
Yes, and you meet them with
let them bully us.
Thank you so much for joining us.
We are daughters of warriors. They don't
on
know.
Women Power Politics, another riveting episode. And my guest was Shamima Muslim. She's a member of the NDC Communications team. She's a media personality. She's a consultant on all things media. And I want to say you are a gender activist.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and she's also a gender activist. Yes. So thank you. You can catch this on YouTube and leave a comment. Let's know how you experience this. Many thanks for your time. Bye for now.
I congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women.